Hi, I'm Caitlin Grace. Welcome to my channel. I knew I'd record this video eventually, but I didn't know when. I didn't know when would be like I'd be okay to do it. But we're going to get into it. As you can tell by the thumbnail, by the title of this video, I have been on a fertility journey for the last 3 years. Woohoo! Don't love that. I do have some notes, just a quick brain dump. I'm gonna watch to go over and share kind of my journey so far. Infertility is weird. My husband and I were diagnosed unexplained infertility, just to kind of like give away the video, the end of the video. But I'm gonna kind of like just catch y'all up to speed from the beginning till here, because I do really want to start posting more on this is my personal channel. I do have 2 other channels, and I just want to start posting more on here, sharing more of my story, sharing more of my life, my fertility journey, my skin journey. For those who don't know, I've struggled with acne for as long as I can remember, and I finally got it under control, I would say probably in the last year and a half. If you guys are hearing my voice sound a little raspy, I did just get over being sick, so bear with me there. But I was going to share some more of my fertility journey, my skin journey, mental health journey. For those who don't know, which you guys may not know, this is a new channel. I was a survivor of CSA. In my upbringing growing up, I may or may not share more of that story. I'm not really sure yet, but today we're going to be talking about fertility. My husband and I have been together since I was 15 years old. I know I'm very lucky and very blessed for that. That was really a great blessing in my life. We started trying to get pregnant in January of 2023. And just for the record, I don't know if I'm going to get emotional in this video or not. It's a very emotional journey. I've been emotional on it. Like very up and down roller coaster whirlwind with your mental health when you're on a fertility journey. But I've never really openly shared about it like this. I've talked with some friends here and there, and a little bit on my Instagram stories. That's mostly about it. But I am feeling in a really good place right now that I feel like I can share about it without being like too overly emotional. I have found God recently through this fertility journey. In fact, the fertility journey is actually what brought me to find God in the first place. I know because I've watched a lot of these TTC type videos, these fertility update videos, that actually happens to a lot of women. Because fertility is something that you don't really have a lot of control over, especially if it's unexplained infertility and there's nothing actually really wrong. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get into it. So in January of 2023, I left a career I was at that I was planning on being at for a really long time. We parted ways and I began managing a gym. Around this time, I was making more money. If you guys catch me looking up and looking down, it's because I'm just looking at my bullet point notes. I have a little ADHD, so I don't want to get off track. I made more money at this job, and I had a little actually more free time on my hands to consider even being a working mom in the first place. The career that I had parted ways with was a very time-consuming, take your work home with you kind of job. Anyway, so at this job, when I was managing the gym, for the most part, when I was home. Besides, talking to my employees, doing the schedule, whatever. Around this time when we first started trying to get pregnant, I began tracking ovulation. Now, I have tracked my period my entire life since I was 12 and I had my first period. My mom did teach me to track my period, but I was kind of tracking it more so just to know when my period was coming, not really to know or understand the entire cycle. So when we started trying to get pregnant, I started trying to track and pay attention to the entirety of the cycle, including ovulation. So I started with easy at home LH strips. LH is luteinizing hormone. It's the hormone that spikes about 24 to 48 hours before an egg is released. That's ovulation. So I started tracking my ovulation in my fertile window that I knew roughly based off of the tracking apps that I had used for my period. I knew roughly when I was going to be in my fertile window. So I would start taking LH strips. They're like little pee strips, just like you would do in a pregnancy test. but the two lines, there's always two lines. And when the test line is darker than the control line, that means that you have your LH hormone has peaked. That means that your egg is going to be released in the next 24 to 48 hours. So I started tracking the LH strips, like even just the easy at home pregnancy test as well, just because when you first start trying to get pregnant, you're really excited in those first couple months. So I was, tracking my period on my cycle, and then I was testing with ovulation strips, the LH strips, to make sure I knew exactly when I ovulated. And of course, yes, I had, I don't know if you can say this on YouTube, I had baby dance. I did the baby dance. For those who are trying to conceive, you know what that means. Of course, all of that fertile window leading up to ovulation day, and then hopefully on ovulation day. And then just because I was excited when you first got started, you're like, oh, I'm 2 hours late for my period. This exaggeration. And then you're like, let me take a pregnancy test. Let me see. Because the people you're watching on YouTube, they're all taking and they're doing the easy at home strips, and they're like checking progressions. If the line darkens, they're doing it for ovulation and for your pregnancy test as well. The easy at home ones are a lot cheaper than like the first response for the clear blues. The first couple months though, I hadn't wised up. I was going and getting the clear blues or the first response if I was even a little late for my period, just because the excitement was there. Now, progress around 2 to 3 months in 4 months, 5 months, I'm obsessively watching TTC videos, kind of like, not like the one I'm making right now. This isn't documenting TTC necessarily. It's kind of just catching you up to where we are. But I was obsessively watching TTC, trying to conceive, for those who don't know, videos on YouTube. And you realize really quickly how lonely a trying to conceive journey can be. And so you start to like seek out people on YouTube, on social media, that you can maybe see what their story is like, what their journey is like. And that's a big reason also why I'm making this video, because I know for me that I really did enjoy seeing other people's takes, seeing other people's journeys, what they experienced, what they struggled with, how they got over it. Not got over it, but like how they mentally coped with it, got through it. But anyway, you're really lonely when you're not getting pregnant right away, and you're seeing people get pregnant left and right all over Facebook, and maybe they're having a baby and getting pregnant by accident, or maybe it's like they wanted to try getting pregnant and then they get pregnant on the first month, and it feels like kind of like a punch to the stomach every single time. But like, that's not to sit here and the people who do get pregnant around you, it's a really weird experience, because you genuinely are so incredibly happy for them. And you also have that, like, in the back of your head, you're just like, like, it's weird. It definitely plays with your emotions and your mental health quite a bit. So anyway, you feel very lonely, and usually at first, from my understanding, people, when they start trying to conceive and trying to get pregnant, they're not really like openly talking with people about it in the beginning. They don't normally start talking to people about it until they've been doing it for a while, that I've noticed. And I think it's because collectively, I can't speak for men, obviously, but for women, you start to feel really lonely and feel like your body is like not working. Like, it's not working right. When we were trying to conceive, we were trying to, let's say, baby dance. Some people said to do it every single day of your fertile window. Some people say to do it every other day. Like, everyone says something different. It's crazy how different everyone's advice is. And the other part of a trying to conceive journey is unsolicited advice is actually very overwhelming, for sure. And you haven't even had the baby yet. Like, I know new moms, they have a baby and they get unsolicited advice from everyone and their mother. And it's very overwhelming. But the same kind of thing happens when you're trying to conceive. Everyone's like, oh, just get drunk, or oh, just don't think about it, or oh, just relax. That makes me want to like slap you upside the head when people say that to me. But it's like, I regulate emotionally with my trying to conceive journey much better now than I did then. So that's why I'm sharing that, just because that was my experience, at least the first year or two, I would say. I would say 3 years in now, I'm a lot better emotionally regulated. But the emotional toll it takes on you is crazy. So we got to a point, and as every couple does when they're trying to conceive, that the doing thing feels like a scheduled chore. And you like, I was beginning to lose my mind, and I could tell it was stressing out my husband too. So he backed off on trying to schedule it. So it's kind of like a weird, you're trying to like balance it a little bit because you're trying to take off the pressure of scheduling it and making it a chore. And you're trying to bring back that fun and that enjoyable nature into it again. And it's like one thing that drove me crazy. I'm like I said, I'm much better now, but like the first probably 2 years is people just say, oh, just like have fun with it or whatever. Or like you're trying, I can tell, I know that when people are saying these things to you when you're trying to conceive, they are just trying to like lighten the mood, or like they don't really know what to say is what it is. But one thing that drove me crazy is people would be like, oh, like you're trying and trying and trying and trying, and you're not getting a positive, you're not getting a positive. And then they're like, oh, but at least you get lots of practice. That's the fun part. Obviously, it gets to a point where it doesn't feel so fun. So you have to like intentionally bring that fun back into it, because it does and can. And it's not just my experience. I've seen this with tons and tons of women, that it can feel like a chore at a certain point when you've been trying to conceive for long enough, that you have to intentionally bring back in the fun and the enjoyable nature of it into your relationship. So um, now I have never been on birth control in my life. I've tracked my cycles since I had my first period. My mom luckily taught me to do that. And they're extremely regular. I have like the most regular cycles ever, like predictable, like clockwork. I did begin wearing this Aura ring in 2025 as well to track my BBT, that's basal body temperature. When you're tracking your basal body temperature, which is like the first temperature when you first wake up before you really start moving and stuff, you can do the under the tongue thermometer or something like this, which I like because it's easier to remember. You don't really have to remember it, it just does it. You can pinpoint your ovulation. You can confirm your ovulation mid-luteal phase when your progesterone rises and peaks. It'll basically tell you if you successfully ovulated or not. Which eventually I would do a blood test as well right around that same exact time to confirm my body is ovulating. So yeah. I'm just going to keep on going on my notes just so I stay on track. Never have we had a single positive pregnancy test. No big fat positive followed by a miscarriage. No chemical pregnancy. No nothing. Like nothing. And so the doctors obviously wanted to get tested because for our reproductive health. My husband and I have been together since I was 15 and have had sex since probably 16. I was 16. And never gotten pregnant once. So the doctor wanted us to get some testing done, obviously. We tried for 2 years before getting tested, and we got our testing done in early of last year, 2025. My husband and I were both checked out by the doctors. Everything's fine. Fine and dandy. And the fact that everything is fine and dandy is both a comfort and it gives you a little bit of an anxiety. It's a comfort because obviously nothing's wrong. It gives you a little bit of an anxiety because nothing's wrong. So there's nothing to change or to fix or to like. They tested both my husband and I, and we had dang near perfect, optimal reproductive health on both sides. So we got diagnosed unexplained infertility. After getting that diagnosed unexplained infertility, the OBGYN office, the doctor I was going to, I really, really like her. I hope that when I do get pregnant one day, she'll be my doctor for when we have our baby. But anyway, so they informed us that we would be really great candidates for IUI or IVF. That's in uterine insemination, and in vitro fertilization is what those stand for. Getting diagnosed unexplained infertility, I spiraled, of course, because I am that type of person that anytime I've coped with anything hard in life, I cope by gaining control of my life, of a situation, of whatever, like control in one way or another. Back when I was younger, there was some really hard family stuff that happened. I gained control by getting into fitness, going to the gym, weight training, learning about food, controlling something. When everything feels uncontrollable, controlling something. And infertility, like play on words by accident. In infertility, it's really hard because especially if there's nothing wrong, there's nothing that you can control or change. So that's also where I started to kind of find and lean on God a little bit more too. But anyway, so the OBGYN, they said that we would need to go to an actual fertility specialist, not just a regular OBGYN office. And anyway, so the rest of that year, we just kept trying the same we had in year 1 and year 2. Just obviously for timeline context, just so you guys know, and also if you're watching this like somewhere down the future, just so you know, Trump was recently elected. And when this testing was done, we knew he had wanted to make some changes in terms of accessibility to things like IVF. So we kept trying just like regular throughout the rest of the year 2025, just because we were kind of like, okay, let's just like wait it out, see what happens, if anything happens. In October 2025, Trump announced there would be changes coming for like insurances and stuff when it comes to things like IUI and IVF, because IUI and IVF are obviously very expensive. They can be like 25 to 50 grand like per cycle. And that doesn't even guarantee that it sticks in each cycle. So they are very expensive, obviously. So right now we have insurance through my husband is in the military. So we do have an insurance. It's not TRICARE. For those watching, it's not TRICARE. Champ VA, which is what I have. It's a insurance for the spouses or kids, things like that. So we're waiting to re-up on our insurance just to see if there's anything different on our insurance in terms of IUI or IVF. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. That brings us up to speed from when we started to where we're at. The difference between IUI and IVF, the OBGYN told us we'd be really good at IUI or IVF, but they said we could probably just do IUI. IUI is the cheaper of the two, but it's also less guaranteed. Neither of them are really fully guaranteed to work, but it's less guaranteed to work. So I'm going to explain to you the difference of IUI and IUF. In uterine inception is they take the man's sperm and they put it, this is what they call like the turkey baster method. They take the male sperm and they put it in this like basically like tube, like a turkey baster, and they put it up into you, and then they basically take the sperm and they put it right where it's supposed to go, right near your fallopian tubes where the egg would come out and then the sperm and the egg would meet. So it's basically just like, here's the substance, we're going to put it where it needs to go, and then hopefully y'all do what you're going to do. And then IVF is in vitro fertilization. So what that is, it's a little bit more, well, it's a bit more intrusive actually. You have to do a surgery to get your eggs removed from your ovaries, basically each month, depending on how many months you have to try to do this. And they remove your eggs, and they remove the sperm, obviously, and they basically connect the eggs and the sperm in an in vitro dish. And then they make sure that they actually connect. They create an embryo, and once they create an embryo, they go back in surgery, and they place the embryo in your uterus and hope it attaches to the uterine wall. So that's the difference between IUI and IVF. IVF is the more expensive of the two, though they're both really expensive. So like as of right now, we kind of are thinking like we might have to do IVF. We might do IVF because just like financial reasons, it's like you would obviously want to do the one that is more likely to take, if you will, more likely to work, if you will. Anyway, so that just catches you up to where we are right now in our fertility journey. Yeah, 3 years in. It has been an emotional roller coaster. It's funny because it's like thinking back on it now, it's something that over the last probably 6 months, I try not to think about a lot just because it can make you really depressed. That's just the truth of it. I try to stay busy. I try to focus on my business. I try to focus on building my business and my company and helping coach my clients. I'm a fitness coach for those who are new to this channel. I know this is actually one of my first videos on the channel. I've deleted some of the other ones just because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this channel, but here we are. And I have much more clear direction now. But yeah, you start to like think that your body doesn't want to work for you. You start to wonder why everyone else gets to have babies and you don't, and you desperately want babies, and there's people out there who don't even want babies who are getting pregnant, and it's just a lot. And my husband and I have talked, like, obviously we want to continue trying to get pregnant and continue on this journey, but also we know that we'll adopt in the future if it comes to it. I don't even want to say if it comes to it. Like, we want to be parents. So we're gonna be parents one way or another. So, and even then, adoption is also a very expensive and complicated process. At least the process that I have researched, and I understand it is a complicated process, but so is IVF, so is IUI. At this rate, we don't get to have a baby for free. I'm still praying though that God will give us our baby, and God's timing is the perfect timing, and yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Surrender to God is really hard when it's something that you want so badly but have no control over. Yeah, and I don't know what else to say in this video, but I just wanted to catch up to where we're at in our fertility journey, because there's a good chance that I'll probably document from here moving forward on this channel, as well as some other things, as well as like sharing about mental health, and just telling my story, like sharing my life. I have 2 Belgian Malinois here with me and a Dutch Shepherd. I have 3 dogs. My husband's a police officer. I have 3 dogs. I'm 29 years old. Yeah, we've been married since I was 18 years old, together since I was 15 years old. Like, I just found God recently, so good for me. I'm a health and fitness coach. That's what I actually do. And then in terms of like my business and what I do for work. And yeah. Thank you guys for tuning into this video, letting me share my story of where we're at in our fertility journey so far. I know it will just continue on more from here. Welcome to my channel. I know this is my first video in here. Welcome. I'm excited to have you guys. And yeah, tap subscribe, stick around, and I'll talk to y'all later.